The foreign gentleman in question is 33 years of age, while my wife is 33. We have been in a relationship for 15 years and married for 12. We met in high school and were engaged for 10 years before getting married. We have 3 children who are all healthy and well-adjusted. My wife grew up in a very strict Christian household where physical affection was considered taboo and something you saved for marriage. Our wedding night was the first time she ever had physical intimacy. Our marriage has been healthy overall, or at least that's what I believed. We always made sure to communicate and listen to each other. Due to the nature of my employment, I am required to be absent from the family home on a fortnightly basis. My wife and I both enjoy a favorable financial position. Following the decision not to have further children, we considered the possibility of my wife undergoing surgery to enhance her breasts. This was undertaken and proved to be highly beneficial in terms of my wife's self-esteem. I have always been committed to maintaining a healthy lifestyle, which includes regular gym attendance. Consequently, we purchased a range of gym equipment for our home. My wife subsequently made significant progress in her fitness journey and was keen to share her experience with others through the creation of an Instagram fitness page. My wife purchased equipment for our home and began using it. She made remarkable progress with her fitness journey and desired to share it with others by creating an Instagram fitness page. She discussed this idea with me and I expressed my concerns about the potential negative attention it could attract. However, I ultimately decided to support her new hobby. One day when I returned home from work, which happened to be on International Women's Day, my wife was in tears. She informed me that she wished to show me something. She then presented me with a candid photograph of herself in a bikini, which she claimed had been sent to her by an unknown individual. The sender had claimed to have found the image on an academic website. However, it subsequently became apparent that the image had been created using a special app. My wife's distress at this turn of events was evident. We discussed the possibility of deleting her Instagram account, but she was reluctant to do so. Over the following months, my wife's Instagram posts shifted from. In August 2021, there was a notable shift in my wife's Instagram posts. They transitioned from being helpful and documenting her fitness journey to focusing more on showcasing her body with revealing clothing. At the same time, I was experiencing health concerns. I had pain in my left testicle that persisted for 2 months. I visited the doctor multiple times and underwent an ultrasound. Thankfully, the results ruled out cancer. However, during this time, I noticed my wife becoming emotionally distant. I was trying to by October, I was still experiencing a notable decline in my desire for closeness and overall motivation. This prompted me to seek medical attention, leading to a test for low testosterone. The results indicated a level significantly below the average range for low normal. In November, a second test was conducted, which showed my testosterone levels the results indicated that my testosterone levels were within the lower end of the normal range, which meant that they could not proceed with treatment. However, they assured me that I was fine and suggested antidepressants as an alternative. I declined this suggestion that week. In early December 2021, I underwent another blood test at a hormone replacement clinic and scheduled a consultation for early January. During this period, my wife experienced the loss of her uncle and grandmother within a span of 7 days. This was a significant and heartbreaking loss for our family. I decided to return home from work early and take additional time off to support my wife, who was experiencing significant distress. It was challenging for me to resume work after the 2-week period, given that my wife was still grieving the profound loss. January 2022 arrived and I received approval for my hormone replacement therapy. I took my first testosterone injection on the 13th of January, just 2 weeks later, and I already noticed a remarkable difference. We went on a 2-week trip to Mexico and I was able to enjoy every moment with our children. My wife expressed her amazement at the changes she had observed in me within a mere 3 weeks. She told me that I was a fantastic dad and husband, rating me 10/10. A 1-week trip to Mexico was undertaken, during which time the author was able to enjoy time with their children. Upon returning, the author's wife expressed her astonishment at the changes she had observed in the author within a mere 3 weeks. She rated the author as an excellent father and husband, giving them a score of 10 out of 10. A few weeks later, while at work, I came across articles about emotionally distant spouses and midlife crises. I sent her those links and she agreed that they resonated with her, although she was unsure of the reasons behind it. I then came across an article listing the top 25 signs that your wife is having an affair. Upon reading it, I was shocked to discover that, in my opinion, my wife exhibited 22 out of the 25 signs. I decided that I needed to confront her about this, but I would wait until I was home to do so on the 10th of March. The day everything changed, we went on a date night. It was a positive experience. I informed her that I wanted to discuss a list of the top 25 signs for 15 minutes without interruption. She could respond afterward. I read her the list of the top 25 signs and she seemed surprised, stating that she could not believe that some of those applied to her. I reassured her that this was a safe space for her to open up and let out anything that had been bothering her. I initially suspected it might have been a drunken one. The nightstand from the summer brought tears and a lengthy silence ensued before she finally divulged that she had engaged in an online affair via Instagram from September to December. She admitted to sharing explicit content with another man who resides overseas. I was incredulous, yet at that moment, I believed we could address the situation promptly and move forward. I then inquired if there was anything else she wished to disclose, urging her to be entirely forthcoming. She responded by stating that this revelation would undoubtedly devastate us and became visibly distraught. She wept inconsolably for several minutes, during which time she remained silent. I was prepared for the worst. Eventually, she revealed that she had been engaged in an extramarital relationship with an individual she had met on Instagram. This liaison commenced shortly after her grandmother's funeral, coinciding with the period when I had taken additional time off work to provide support. Initially, she asserted that the relationship was limited to a few instances and that it had concluded in January. However, I soon discerned that partial truths are often disclosed to mitigate the impact and consequences of the infidelity. It became evident that the affair was still ongoing when I initiated a conversation with my partner about it. I discovered that they had been exchanging thousands of text messages and had been speaking on the phone for approximately 4 hours a day. They had been meeting in various locations, including parking lots, the back of a truck, hotels, and even our own home. The affair partner had spent the night at our home while I was away at work. There were 11 confirmed instances of the affair within a span of 2 days. The number of instances of infidelity is difficult to ascertain with certainty, but it could be as high as 15 to 20 times. On several occasions, she informed me that she was going to the gym, but in reality, she was meeting her partner in a parking lot. It is important to note that she has an intrauterine device, IUD, which means that they did not use any form of protection. I asked her to gather her belongings and move out. It was an incredibly difficult week for our children, perhaps one of the worst they have ever experienced. Both parties are currently engaged in individual counseling, with the first session with a marriage counselor scheduled for next week. Initially, the wife had already given up on the marriage, believing that divorce was the only viable option. The husband's use of hormone replacement therapy, which has been shown to have positive effects in such cases, led to a notable intensification of the wife's feelings of guilt and shame for her actions. While the affair was ongoing, the individual in question did not have any further contact with the affair partner since the 18th of March. She has expressed deep regret for her actions and feels remorseful. She is willing to do whatever it takes to make our relationship work. She has returned to the house and undergone tests for HIV and pregnancy. However, she is hesitant to engage in physical intimacy or even kiss me. Through our open discussions, she has acknowledged that she is experiencing significant challenges in overcoming her feelings and withdrawing from the affair. The affair partner, who is 33 years old, lacks assets, struggles to maintain employment, and currently resides in an apartment with his mother. It is essential to address my needs. I am not inclined to be a passive participant in this situation. Furthermore, I am not interested in pursuing reconciliation solely for the sake of our children. A great deal has transpired since my previous post in reflection, I regret not heeding the counsel of those who demonstrated the greatest concern and compassion. The most challenging aspect is grappling with the realization that all is lost. Regrettably, I had to learn this lesson the hard way, largely due to my own actions. We attempted to reconcile from in March. I permitted her to remain in the house until the end of April. During this period, there were numerous indications that the relationship was deteriorating. For instance, she was observed offering compliments to other men at the gym in my presence and withholding affection. By the end of April, she had intentionally distanced herself from me, stating that the relationship was too difficult and that she needed time to figure herself out. I concurred with this assessment and agreed that we needed a period of separation. In the beginning of May, she initiated a period of separation, during which neither of them would see anyone else. She rented an Airbnb, but was initially reluctant to provide the address. However, she eventually did so one morning as I drove by. I observed her affair partner's truck parked a block away. This was not unexpected, as I subsequently saw her with the affair partner walking out of an alley towards I observed the truck and, upon turning around, pulled up next to it. The affair partner was inside the truck and did not have time to get in, so she hid by ducking down behind the tailgate. I rolled down my window and sarcastically said, "It is quite impressive that you lasted one day on your own." I drove to the back of the truck and she ran to the front, hiding by the hood. I decided to I left and cancelled her cell phone, which was under my plan. 2 days later, she arrived at the house with her bags packed, expressing that she was tired of living this shady lifestyle. I informed her that it was a good decision, but that she was not welcome to stay here, and suggested that she stays at her stepdad's place. She agreed to this suggestion on Mother's Day. She expressed a desire to engage in a family activity, but I was not in agreement. A few hours later, she called and invited me to a movie. I agreed to attend, and we all returned home. After the children had been put to bed, I requested that she leave. However, she stated that she was tired and subsequently fell asleep on the couch upstairs. I observed her old cell phone on the table and decided to, after extensive examination of the evidence, I discovered photographic and textual evidence confirming the affair. I then proceeded to wake her up and confront her about it. She became enraged and, in the end, the police were called and she was arrested and charged with an offense at 1 a.m. We had no contact for 3 weeks and she was not permitted to visit the home. Eventually, she was released from custody. The charges were subsequently dropped due to discrepancies in her police report. She expressed a desire to meet, and despite my initial reluctance, I agreed. She expressed a desire to work on things, and given her current circumstances, I interpreted this as a genuine expression of remorse. I rented a place for 5 days, but on the 5th day, around May 29th, I moved back home. In June, the situation improved somewhat. There was a notable increase in communication, although there was still a lack of emotional intimacy, including a lack of physical contact. She still had a password on her phone that I was not aware of. One morning, while we were in bed, her phone rang at 6 a.m. She informed me that it was her affair partner. She then proceeded to block him, claiming that she had done so previously. However, she had not actually done so. I was extremely frustrated with the situation and threatened to leave. She agreed to block him again. I had already initiated the legal separation process. The relevant documentation had already been prepared at this point. One night, a fire broke out in the backyard. She went to a neighbor's house for a glass of wine and returned a few hours later, for the first time in years. I attempted to engage in a dance with her outside and kiss her, but she pulled away. I was confused and frustrated. I tried to get close to her later that night, but the interaction went so poorly that I ended up sleeping downstairs the next day. She forgot her phone and slid down the screen, but was unable to unlock it. However, I receive an email notification from her AP, which I perceive as a further act of infidelity. I confront her, and she denies having sent any messages to him, claiming that he must have accessed her account without her knowledge. I proceed to access her email account and peruse the entire exchange that has been taking place behind my back for several days. I then show her the messages, which visibly upset her. I inform her that I intend to file for divorce the following day, and then I leave. She continues to call me repeatedly, up to 15 times in the subsequent hour. I chose not to respond. She also sent me texts imploring me to return home because she was experiencing a psychological crisis. After several hours, I finally returned home. While I was there, she called her affair partner and informed the AP that our relationship was over. The AP then had the audacity to request my blessing to pursue a relationship with her. If things did not work out between us, I found the request absurd and laughed. She then ended the call. From June to July, she begins to implement changes and displays a more positive outlook, reassuring me of her commitment to our relationship in the long term. She suggests that it may take years to reach the point of being able to reside with my family on a nightly basis. I resign from my position as a road-based employee and assume a new role. I commence my new position on the 25th of July. On the 25th of July, I commenced a new position, but she once again rejected me during a walk. She informed me that our relationship was untenable and that we could not achieve our goals. However, she never expressed a desire to separate or initiate divorce proceedings. That weekend, I had a wedding to attend with friends, but due to my new work schedule, I was unable to attend. Subsequently, she contacts her AP once more and spends the subsequent 3 days with him following the wedding. At this juncture, I decide to file the requisite paperwork in August. She is served with the divorce papers and I list our home for sale. Interestingly, the house is sold within a month and the date of possession is included in the deal. Additionally, this week, I signed a separation agreement. Over the past few months, I have found myself in a much better place after freeing myself from the situation that I had created for myself by attempting to help this woman. However, she is not the same person that I married 12 years ago, and unfortunately, it has all come at my expense, despite the opinions of others. Despite my initial reluctance to believe it, I was aware that she would inevitably seek to repeat this behavior. The children are adjusting well to their new home with me, and I ensure that they receive my attention and time whenever they require it. She is no longer in a relationship with her former partner, and he is said to be experiencing a sense of loss. Recently, she informed me that I am a great man, a great provider, and a great husband and father. She acknowledged that she will not find another man who can offer even 50% of what I have to offer. However, she admitted that she is not attracted to me. Nevertheless, she has not completely ruled out the possibility of getting back together with me in the future. In the event that we are reunited at some future point, I can accept the fact that I have done everything in my power to improve our family situation, but she has not. This will be a source of regret for her until the end. Second story, my wife and I welcomed our child last December. However, the birth was challenging and my wife suffered from postpartum depression. Initially, she had planned to resume her employment following the birth of her child. However, the challenges she has faced have prompted us to reconsider this decision. We have decided to defer this until our daughter reaches 1 year of age, at which point we will reassess the situation. My wife has been attending weekly therapy sessions to assist with her recovery, given that she is currently at home full-time. At this juncture, I have been compelled to extend my work hours. This was a topic that we had previously discussed and she was fully cognizant of this situation from the outset. A few weeks ago, my supervisor approached me about a project that necessitated a considerable amount of overtime in a relatively short period. It offered both financial and career advancement opportunities. I consulted with my wife and she concurred that I should accept the position, given that I would be occupied with the project for the next 4 weeks. My in-law and her best friend, Jessie, a 29-year-old stay-at-home mother with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, would come over to assist with some of the tasks that I usually handle. The woman in question began coming over during the day to assist my wife in taking care of the children. As the project progressed, it became evident that we needed a few more weeks to complete it. I discussed this with my wife when I got home that night and she said she was fine with it. However, in the following days, she became distant and cold, given her behavior over the past few months. I did not think too much about it and tried not to take it personally during the final stages of the project. During the final week of the project, I returned home one evening to find Jessie still present. I did not consider this a significant issue and greeted her, my wife, and proceeded to check on our daughter. However, before I could reach her room, I overheard Jessie saying something to the effect that he did not even bother to say hello to me. This was a clear indication of her displeasure. I turned around and inquired about the meaning of this statement. My wife immediately began crying, and Jessie accused me of having an affair. She alleged that I must hate my wife because of her postpartum depression and that I'm no longer attracted to her because she gained weight during pregnancy. However, none of these accusations are true. I am doing my utmost to support my wife through her postpartum depression and to care for our family. I believe that she looks great just the way she is and I have not pressured her for closeness. Then, Jessie insisted on seeing my phone. I refused, and she said that refusing it was a sign of guilt. This was a clear indication of guilt. I informed my wife that if she wished to view my phone, she was free to do so. She nodded in agreement, and I experienced a profound sense of devastation. The realization that she genuinely believed I was engaging in an illicit affair had a profound impact on me. It was distressing to contemplate that she no longer trusted me, particularly given the history we had shared. My wife proceeded to examine my phone and discovered nothing that could be construed as incriminating. Jessie then began to accuse me of deleting evidence. She became enraged and woke up our daughter. I informed her that I had nothing to do with it and that she should leave. Eventually, she departed, and I proceeded to console our daughter, while my wife remained seated on the couch, sobbing. Once our daughter fell asleep, I took my place next to my wife and attempted to initiate a conversation about the recent events. She informed me that she had been concerned since I began working overtime. I reminded her that we had previously discussed the potential benefits of the additional work, and she concurred that I should accept the project. She expressed suspicion regarding that the project's duration was extended. I explained that, on occasion, projects take longer than anticipated. She requested further evidence, so I showed her messages and emails from work with timestamps and pay stubs showing the overtime pay. She said she believed me and apologized for doubting me. She admitted that Jessie had been convincing her that these were all signs of me cheating. I asked her why she trusted Jessie more than me and why she did not come to me with her concerns. She was unable to provide a satisfactory response. It has been approximately 2 weeks since the project concluded. I have actually reduced my workload and am attempting to work less than before to have more time with my wife and daughter. However, I feel completely exhausted from trying to do everything and am starting to feel resentful. I am aware that my wife does not trust me and am wondering what will happen the next time I have a project or if I need to run errands. I am uncertain as to whether I will one day return from a business trip to accusations of infidelity. I have attempted to discuss my concerns on a number of occasions, but my wife has consistently asserted that the timing is inopportune and that she is fatigued or experiencing sadness. I endeavor to be considerate of her emotional state, yet I am left wondering whether this implies that I am unable to address my own feelings. I am uncertain as to the best course of action in this situation. I would be grateful for any advice on how I can move forward. I subsequently informed my wife that I was planning to seek the assistance of a therapist. I did not broach the subject of her accusations. Instead, I simply informed her that I was experiencing a challenging period and that I was seeking professional assistance. Her response was somewhat indifferent. She merely shrugged and advised me to do whatever I felt was best. Upon returning home from work the following day, I discovered that our bedroom and home office were in a state of disarray. Items were strewn across the floor, and important documents were scattered throughout the space. My wife was not present, and our daughter was in her room, visibly distressed. My wife had left her alone, and her cell phone was turned off. I attempted to contact my in-laws and a few friends, but none of them had seen her. I began to grow concerned, and I decided to reach out to my mother, asking if she could care for our daughter while I conducted a search for my wife. I contacted the relevant authorities and a few friends, but no one had seen her. I began to feel concerned and decided to contact my mother, asking if she could care for our daughter while I went out to search for my wife. Before my mother could arrive home, my wife returned with Jessie. Jessie did not enter the house, as she has not returned since I asked her to leave. I had previously asked my wife to leave the house due to her being offended by my actions. However, she did eventually return, and it was clear that she was upset and had been crying. I asked her what had happened initially, thinking that perhaps our house had been robbed. However, she then started screaming at me, accusing me of being unfaithful and claiming that therapy was just a cover. I was then informed that I was to meet my supposed mistress. I attempted to calm her down and assure her that it was not true, but she came at me and ended up hitting me. My nose was broken after I realized what she had done. She then sat down on the couch and went into a kind of trance, just staring at the wall. I went into my daughter's room, locked the door, and called my mother to let her know what had happened. She was already on her way. I also called my mother-in-law. I contacted the police and requested that they come to the house to take care of my wife. I packed a bag for my daughter, and, when my mother arrived, we left. My wife did not even look up. We dropped off my daughter with my father and then went to the emergency room to have my nose checked. I got blood all over my mother's new Subaru in the process. My daughter and I are currently staying with my parents while my wife is staying with her own parents. I am currently seeking to obtain a restraining order against Jesse, who has caused harm and poses a potential threat to my wife and I. My wife and I have decided to separate, as I still love her, but I cannot live with someone who hurts me and could potentially harm our daughter. I am not proceeding with a divorce at this point, hoping that my wife will seek the necessary treatment and that we can work things out. The relevant legislation permits the possibility of inpatient treatment at a local hospital. Nevertheless, I have taken the precaution of documenting everything thoroughly in case a custody battle arises in the future. This is a source of great distress to me, as I am aware that this is not the person I married. It is an illness affecting her mind. However, I am obliged to prioritize the safety of myself and my daughter. It is my intention to ensure the well-being of both myself and our daughter, while affording my wife the necessary space to recuperate. I am of the opinion that this is the most appropriate course of action. In light of the comments that have been made, I have had a discussion with my parents. We have concluded that, in order to protect my daughter, I should file a police report. I am currently on my way to the police station to do so.